hope you know both my eminent friends here. Amar Patnaik is a BJD MP, former bureaucrat, now politician, extremely well-read, an extremely intelligent, intuitive person. I don't think Mr. Sahasrabudhe needs any introduction. We find each other always at this conference. Okay, the topic is, can youth be sensitized to AI? So let me start with a joke, I mean, so a Catholic priest, rabbi, and AI walk into a bar, and the priest says, Catholic says, okay, give me a whiskey. The other guy says, rabbi says, give me a glass of wine, and the AI says, give me a software update. So do you think the youth of India need a software update compared to as far as AI is concerned? Sorry, can you comment? I said, do the youth need a software update when it comes to understanding AI, the future of AI, the perils of AI?
AI is basically something which is a different kettle of fish, I would say, rather than a software. Of course, the basic architecture remains the same, but what it uses and trains up on is huge amount of data. And this is the age when a lot of data is getting collected, and therefore AI algorithms, machine learning is automatically making those algorithms.
See, AI itself is misunderstood a lot because, I mean, if you look at it, a computer or the computer we are using right now or the telephones we are using now already has AI. So what we are talking about is machine learning, like when machines start to imitate and mimic human talent. So do you think that is really a threat to modern, education future or even current educational policies?
You're asking me, right? See,
No, like computers, machine learning, advancing into a situation where computers can think for themselves, they can mimic human beings in terms of human value systems, and eventually displacing jobs. We'll come to jobs later. But purely in terms of machine learning, do you think that is really going to affect education vis-a-vis human students?
I think AI is a tool which we should be able to use effectively in the right perspective. It's artificial intelligence means based on all previous experiences that are available in the form of data, whether it is visual, whether it is audio, whether it is in the form of text, all of that taken together, it works on it and gives you inputs. We make use of that. But however, when it comes to human intelligence, where we have emotions, where we have passion, love, I don't think AI will be able to create it as on today. And therefore, when we ask our students to use AI, it may be ChatGPT, it may be OpenAI, they will get a lot of information out of that. And that knowledge, they must be able to convert into wisdom. In our philosophy, we call jnana pragyana. Pragyana is what makes discerning effect. Discrimination, that is what is the human trait. And unless we bring it into the system, we are not going to replicate everything that the humans are able to do through AI.
No, but you see, the thing is that AI is essentially dependent on software updates, right? Essentially dependent on software and data. But logically speaking, if you look at the old sci-fi stories of Asimov and Ray Bradbury and all, things are coming true. Computers are thinking themselves. So to an extent, the greatest fear about AI is that will the computer start break away from human control and using the data and the logic of the data become a self-thinking machine on its own, in which case it decides, see, computers control everything. They control everything from electricity grid to your kind of BAMs, everything from your telephone to everything. So at any given point of time, an artificial intelligence becomes like an independent entity out of human control.
Yeah, can I just take? Yeah. I think I'll just supplement what Dr. Sahasrabudhe was saying. What the AI systems are doing is they are building the, I'll use a technical term, instrumental rationality, mechanical rationality as much as possible. So what the human beings could probably not think of in rational terms, these AI algorithms or systems are able to develop that. But it cannot obviously develop the emotional rationality or the emotional content. What you were saying, there is definitely a potential risk that this rationality which the AI is able to learn or is able to develop from learning from the data that is available at its command, can potentially take decisions which probably a human being with its additional power of intelligence, which is emotional intelligence, would not do. For example, if a data set is completely biased, the AI model will take up that bias set and take a decision which will be completely biased.
Exactly.
Biased against, let's say, a community. But if you are actually thinking as a human being, you would look at data and realize that this is a biased data and probably not take a decision which otherwise you would have taken had it not been a biased data.
Which means that human beings can make mistakes, but AI can't. That's what he's saying, in many ways.
No, I think the AIs can make mistakes. The human beings have to use their additional intelligence because the AI is only is an extension of that intelligence. They have to use that additional intelligence to triangulate the results to find out that whether it can actually be used for decision making or not. So the AI can make mistakes. The human beings should not be making those mistakes.
Okay, this is when we are talking about the emotional aspect of technology, I want to tell you something I read recently, which is rather odd. Not really part of the mainstream thing. That there are a lot of relationships which are collapsing in the United States. I'm sure all over the world, right? Whatever were the reasons, changing lifestyles, etc. So some of the AI companies are offering robotic girlfriends who can be programmed by AI to behave exactly. The man gives the specifications, this is the kind of woman I want, this is the kind of responses she should do, blah, 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 blah. So as a result, AI could, if I'd given it a mass point at a mass level, which will happen soon because corporates make money, right? Money is very important to this. And if this is going to be a hugely recreative thing, it could be very, very detrimental to relationships because relationships are about making mistakes and learning from them and building families and building relationships, right? So how would you, as somebody who handles education technology, would be able to kind of sensitize the youth to take a more moral way? Because being a human being is a difficult job. If you're programmed into it, it's not as difficult. So how would you sensitize people to that?
Yeah, I think the value system which we have to inculcate in the students through the education is what is able to make the difference between the two. All those things which you said, they are all virtual. And therefore, when they realize the reality, they will not go towards that direction. But at the same time, AI has its own advantage in terms of all the data sources that are available, which are genuine data, making use of that. There are several applications possible in terms of teaching learning process. How do you make a student learn better? This is possible through the methodology of artificial intelligence.
Personalized learning.
Personalized learning is possible. You also have systems where, for example, you require to have a certain course to be done. Where do you want to do it? Probably through AI, you will be able to detect and do a very reasoned understanding about what needs to be studied. All of that is possible through the methodology of AI. But it has a flip side, what you rightly said, and therefore educating people. There are also issues of security. There are also issues of privacy. So all of that under our education system, if you have to start training them right from the young age, I'm sure we will use AI for the right purposes rather than for the wrong purposes.
In fact, Ravi, that's why I use the term responsible AI. And this responsible AI can come through, of course, a lot of awareness about the ill effects, which you definitely, what you said is possible. But one has to be aware of it. Many people may not be even aware of it because they're sharing a huge amount of data over internet and there is scraping of data and somebody is developing algorithmic models. So these are the potential risks. So we have to make people that as much as it is beneficial, which we should all take full advantage of, we have to be responsible to guard against the potential harms and risks. And therefore, people are calling for regulation of AI. Regulation of AI, which is there in Europe now, Some amount of it is there in US. There was a deal between the Biden administration and OpenAI, many other, Microsoft as well. India, we haven't had it so far, but probably there would be a time when this would be necessary.
Yeah, now, Amar, let me ask you, like your government, the BJD in Odisha, has been really doing a lot of skill training. In fact, they've been pretty good at, advancing the skill training, the skilling of people. Tell me, one of the biggest fears of young people, youth, is the fear of losing jobs to AI. In fact, you already have articles appearing, what are the jobs which are going to be lost to AI? So how are you, I mean, do you have a plan in place? I mean, government policy usually, hopefully, is but put in place for the next kind of decade or half a decade or whatever. There would be somebody who's kind of laying it out. So do you have a plan in place to kind of, identify sectors where jobs could be taken away by AI, and do you have a kind of, firewalls in place which would kind of, stop that happening?
I think this exercise is going on across the world globally. There is a large chunk of people who believe that, I think many of us believe that, as you said, there will be a lot of job losses of a particular kind in maybe across sectors. But there is also a study, there are studies which believe that a lot of new jobs would be created. For example, I'll give you a very simple example. That is when the Y2K problem came, the year 2000, a huge number of new jobs were created, maybe temporary, but they were created. In this case also, just to make yourself AI compliant, a lot of jobs in the AI sector would get created. But besides that, the use of AI for innovation, for new startups, for developing new areas of research and development, even at the frontier of science, I think there are enormous possibilities. But to a question, specifically if there is a plan in place, I think every company, depending on where they are, every industry where they are, the educational sector where they are, they have to think in terms of which are the areas where jobs would probably be lost and which are the areas where jobs would be created. But I'm sure about one thing, that it opens up new avenues, huge benefits to be taken, and new jobs would be created.
Anil, I mean, that is, and I wish you could have given a more specific answer, basically. I would have liked to have more specifics. But I suppose, as you said, governments are looking into it even. The West, I think they have put in some regulatory effects, as you said, but more specific. I don't think we have done it yet. Anil, I want to ask you, are there, nothing is new, all right? I mean, if you look at the larger philosophy of karma, if you look at the larger philosophy of kind of life and death, everything is cyclical. I mean, it could take, maybe something could take a century, yuga, days, God knows whatever. Is there any scriptural or old historical references you have found about artificial intelligence?
See, there is no scriptural evidences of that nature, but nevertheless, the very fact that in our system, we talked about body, intellect, mind, and finally Atman. That means Pragyana on one side, and also the ultimate truth, Brahman. I think these are philosophies which are much higher than what AI is also thinking about. So they're at that level. As far as the loss of jobs, which Amar was saying already, there will be new jobs created. This is the same problem which people talked about when computerization came in. The bank, insurance jobs are all going to be lost. In fact, it made the life of the people, citizens, much smoother and easier. AI is going to do exactly the same thing, whether it is applications in agriculture, whether it is applications in healthcare, applications in education, even in terms of transportation, defense, security, all of that is going to transform, and then there will be hundreds of AI applications created by the startups. I think jobs are not going to be lost, new jobs are going to be created.
Okay, so
I wish I knew about the scriptural support for this AI, the question you asked. I wish I knew, I have no idea.
my mistake. Next time I'll telephone. I'll call you. Next time I'll talk on the phone. I'll certainly inform you of the developments. But so if you, AI is what? It's basically technologies which essentially start thinking like human beings, and eventually sometimes acting like human beings at some given point of time or not. So many times logic is also about analyzing the present to kind of look into the future, right? I mean, that's what it is. I mean, you're analyzing the present, whether it be philosophy, whether it be logic, any of that is to analyze trends of the future to kind of present to take the, foresee the future or predict the future or create an algorithm to predict the future. using postulates of the past. I mean, I'm clear. So if, how would you do something like an exercise like that? Have you ever done an exercise like that? And where would you see artificial intelligence heading 20 years from now? How would it affect youth? Because this generation is what is going to be the inheritor of the next. So inheritor of the next 10 years. So how do you see AI playing with them? I mean,
No,
plugging into them.
but as you said correctly, actually, there are various levels of AI. In everyday life, from experience, we predict what we'll do after analysis of the previous experience. The AI, in a very simple term or a simplistic term, just does that. If there is no data, the algorithm is bad. If there is more data to train on, then the algorithm gets better and better, the machine starts learning better and better. Therefore, your predictive power increases, the possibility of not predicting rightly reduces. So that is anyway happening all the time. What the AI is, the current generative AIs are doing, are the fact that they are taking away that requirement of you to analyze and giving it to the computer, to the model. But that doesn't mean that there are no other areas or frontiers left to think about. I think with the AI coming in, models coming in, our research output probably should be better. Our new areas, horizons of knowledge should come up because they are going to use this data which is already available to predict things which can be done and predict things which they have not thought about. Our research should become even better.
Right. So let's bring it down to a more pedestrian point where people can understand it better, because we have been talking about data, we've been talking about general policy. To be more specific, how are you applying AI in your current kind of mandate?
For right now, we have a tool which is developed called Anuvadini, which is a
Sorry?
Anuvadini.
Anuvadini.
It's a tool for translating content from English into many Indian languages. Bhashani is also there, but we have developed Anuvadini as well. And while Bhashani or any other translation tool which is used by either Google or Microsoft is based on translating from one language of India into English and from English again back into another Indian language. What we are trying to do is we are using Sanskrit as the base, whereby content in Odia will be taken into Sanskrit and then converted into Kannada or Marathi or Telugu. It will have better grammatical syntax and lots of words are also common. And therefore, the accuracy of translation will become better. So this training continues to happen, and from say 60% to 70% to 80%, accuracy goes on developing, and you will be able to do on the fly. And that is the area where the work is going on. So AI has huge number of applications. We have a portal for internship. Now, lots of companies provide internship opportunities for 100, 200 people. Students also are interested in going to a particular industry, particular place. So this matchmaking also can be done very easily through the use of AI. Your interests are going to be matched, that of the industry.
Amar, what's the government doing to do that?
Yeah, you see, I mean, just taking it from there, I see the biggest application of AI is to improve our delivery of health services. So digital health is completely going to be, driven by AI applications. And that you can imagine would give tremendous amount of improved healthcare services to the most underserved and unserved maybe people of the country. So this is where the study, many surveys have said that people are extremely upbeat about digital health because of the power that the AI would bring into delivering this digital health. The second area again is modeling for weather. So I think our weather forecast, whatever is happening, it has improved tremendously, but it will even improve even further. So you would have better disaster management. It could have implications on climate change. Why this is important is because the number of variables or number of factors affecting a particular event, currently the human mind can only process that much but not more. Whereas if you bring in generative AI, different kinds of data sets can be combined together and improve that predictive power. So I'm fully in agreement with you that there are huge amount of risks as well. The risks one has to be aware of, but the benefits, I think, outweigh the potential risks and harms. Harms of privacy, harms relating to bias, harms relating to security are very important, very concerning as well. They will have to be taken care of, if required, by a regulation probably. Government of India is currently not thinking about bringing in the regulation because it sees the potential benefits to be much more than the harm. But maybe a stage would come when the Rasmita Mandana issue kind of thing, then government has issued advisory and guidelines. It might finally take the form of a regulation as well, which can be enforced in the court of law. So for anything which gives you a lot of benefits, there are always situations where there are risks, and this is the same situation with AI. But I think we shouldn't close our doors on AI just because there are these few harms.
Okay, now the general prediction of technocrats and writers is that AI will become so powerful by end of this decade that it will dominate every aspect of your life. So can AI replace a member of parliament? And if AI does replace a member of parliament, what do you think a member of parliament will be like an AI-created MP?
Good question, but you know, this is similar to something which I was speaking in Delhi to a group of lawyers, that if AI could actually be taking over the role of the judges in the courts, because in China, for example, they're already experimenting that a particular judge has given, let's say, 50 judgments. Looking at those judgments, the AI model would be able to predict what is the kind of judgment that it is going to give based on the facts in the current case, and therefore give you a draft judgment, and then somebody will probably look at it. But what it cannot do is the judgment that comes from the human brain, the creativity that would come from the human brain in interpreting certain things. And the same applies to members of parliament. The members of parliament on a particular bill, what are the pros and the cons, what are the positives and the negatives, could probably an AI model or AI robot sitting over there can do. But to bring in the human element of a particular constituency in a particular village, which is context specific to that particular area, which is the job of a member of parliament in the Lok Sabha, the AI model will not be able to do it. So I think the current use of AI for members of parliament or parliament in general is what is being contemplated is to improve the capacity of the MPs to debate better, to bring those issues which are coming from constituencies better, to analyze which issues are common to a large number of constituencies, and therefore government's action could be drawn in a much more significant way. I think these are the ones which we should be taking it forward.
So let me, as a academic technocrat, let me apply the same question I asked Amar to you.
So neither MPs can be replaced by AI, nor the faculty members or professors can be replaced by AI. Because you have a role to play, and all this AI is going to help us in taking decisions better. That is what AI is going to do, rather than, because as I said earlier, emotions, the various human values, they cannot be incorporated through the software or through the AI mechanism.
That's a holy grail of technology, isn't it? To create a thinking machine, a feeling machine. That's what is the dream of our technology.
I'll give you another example. Can power asymmetry that exists in our societies because of various reasons, caste, religion, whatever, can any AI model capture this? It's not possible.
Actually, it's too much kind of. So I think we're closing, nearing the thing. Any questions, anybody?
Good afternoon, sir. And my question is, in recent times, we have been seeing this ethical issue in deepfake. In future, can we expect a situation where the deepfake becomes indistinguishable from the reality, so that we need to rethink or reshape the fundamental understanding of truth and the concept of evidence?
Really good question.
And what can the government can do in this, sir?
Take it.
Good question. The power of the human brain or human mind to discern between the reality and a fake or a deep fake, as you say in computer language, in AI parlance, has to be respected. It is very easy to find out the gaps in an algorithm given a data set. May not be in the first iteration, but in the second or the third iteration, the human brain will be able to find out the gap or the patch. And therefore, you would realize the iPhones that you have, several updates keep on happening, or the Microsoft or whatever. They're hugely complex and complicated systems. But then they find out the gaps from the same data which it is applied on, and then they start giving updates or start giving patches. So even in the Alexa or in Bard, whatever, in your chat GPT, you are having updates and upgrades. That is simply because there are bugs which have been identified. The results are not coming out similarly. The deep fakes which are probably there are something which, see, why the deep fake has come up is probably because of a lack of regulation. That's a different issue altogether. As I said, for stopping this, prohibiting this, we need to probably have regulations, guidelines, advisories, enforcement. That's a different thing. But once it is there to identify whether it is a fake or a reality, that the human mind would be able to do it, because as I said, AI is only an additionality. It is an extension of human brain. It cannot replace the human brain.
This is, I think we're running out of time, so
I would just like to add, you know, over a period of time, even the AI itself will start working on it and will understand which is a more highly integrity-oriented data, where from it is coming, which is a fake data which is coming from. So it will start doing by itself certain kind of analysis one side. And all the while, we also say often that you can fool someone all the time, all the people for some time, not all the people all the time. So deep fake also cannot.
But you can't fool AI.
So good evening. The question is very simple. As a professor, I'm asking this question. The question is, if AI is going to help take better decisions, will it impact human thinking in a student level? Right from school level, if they started using AI, will their thinking ability be diminished? Will the quality of students who are coming in the upcoming future, will that be diminished? Will that be a bigger challenge because of AI?
It's a quick answer.
There is a likely challenge. Then that's why the role of teachers right from school to high school to higher education has to create right awareness among students in order to use discreetly how you have to use the AI tools, actually. That is a role of the teacher, and therefore role of teacher will not diminish.
Thank you, Anil. Thank you, Amar. Interesting session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.